do that. They were just like, here, I'll pick it up. And then this one guy, this older guy, he had a good enough age to him. He was just groggy and grumpy, and he wanted to get like I don't know, a beer, or I think it was some sort of alcohol drink, and he wanted change a particular way. He wanted, like, he made it all complicated. He's like, oh, I need to keep X amount of dollars on this card, and oh, this and that. And this lady who had been sitting in our ice cream parlor for I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, she'd been there a little bit. She comes up and she says she'll pay for it. And I couldn't imagine. I'm like, that's a nice person. That is good karma. That's giving off good energy from this one girl, for her doing that. And I don't know if she heard this guy, being that it basically just goes, customers counter, or hold up, customer counter. I'm on one side, he's on the other. Then the wall behind me where the cigarettes are. Then on the other side of that wall, there's our ice cream parlor. So, where people can just go and chill and sit at a table and eat their ice cream. And so ultimately, she's sitting over there. So I don't know if she heard him or not. But he's like, "Oh, well, if you can't refund it or whatever, or if it's not going to work, then just." Because she also had issues with her card, so she had to go call and figure it out. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just get these kind of cigarettes, or I'll get these. Like, he was getting alcohol and cigarettes and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, this lady is nice enough to pay for your shit. Pay for your poison. Because that's kind of how I view cigarettes. It's an unnecessary poison. It's a corporate thing nowadays. And so, that's a lot of Americans. I don't know about other countries, but we're hooked on the faker, and the more poisonous it is to us, the better we're off. Live for the here and the now. Don't worry about 10 years from now. That's then. We'll suffer later. But, I mean, from my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, tobacco is a plant. I don't know how harmful regular grown tobacco is. You cut it up a little bit, dry it out, then I don't know if back in the Western times they had a particular type of paper that they used for rolling paper, and how different that is versus nowadays from like the Westerns or any other old-fashioned time period. But from my understanding, even cigarettes aside, and skinny smokes, there's cigars. And from my understanding, again, I am aware that there's a chance that I'm wrong. I'm not claiming that I'm right and that I know this 100%. I'm just saying my understanding is a stogie. That's what I like to call them. I don't know why. I think it's funny. I think it's cute. I get a childish laugh about it in within myself. But a stogie, one of them fat cigars, like something you'd see like Arnold Schwarzenegger or like some big CEO sitting there like type doing thing. Smoking. From my understanding, a cigar, what it's wrapped up in is it's got the ground up tobacco plant in it. And then the paper, the brown paper and everything that's made out of is not paper. It's just dried up tobacco leaf that might be cut a certain way or something. But from my understanding, that's what a cigar is. So if I were to ever pick up smoking, not really my cup of tea. I've lived 25 years without smoking. Some people start when they're even fucking 13. I'm like, dear God. But yeah, so like if I were to ever do that, it would be growing a tobacco plant, drying it out the old-fashioned way, and just rolling it up and smoking it like that. I don't need any of this artificial stuff. I want to live as healthy and naturally as possible. Don't get me wrong. There are some things I will still eat because everything in moderation. And like I said in the health videos, I'm going to eat what I currently have in my house to the best of my ability before I just go out and buy more stuff, because I don't have any money right now. I've got like $6 in my bank account, and I don't think I'll be able to get EBT, food stamps next month. I think if it hasn't already run out, it's going to run out next month. So if it renews, that's a blessing. If it doesn't, then it'll make things a little bit harder, but I will manage. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to starve. I don't need EBT. I like working for and earning whatever I do. I like saving money and whatnot. It's the kind of person I am. So yeah. And all the furniture you actually see in the house, just so you know, I am eventually going to get rid of because, like I've said on this entire rant, between people being just messed up and me having more of an old-fashioned versus a modern view of things, I believe in moderation. So a little bit of technology here and there, you can do cheap every now and then and whatnot, but ultimately, most things, and I could be wrong here, but I think even in the 90s we had more hard and homemade things and we did cheap materials. Excuse me. Nowadays, everything is paper, cardboard, fucking plastic. I feel like everything is so brittle, but still so costly and the only reason why things are so expensive, outside of, well, our government doesn't know how to manage money, and that's the fucking truth, is the fact that it costs so much more. We expend so much energy of the earth and of the world and of people and of machines and in industry and industrial stuff. We expend all these resources just to make that. I don't know if you see it. Okay, that's my TV. I'm pointing at, yeah, right there. No, that way. Yeah, that shelf, I guarantee that back is like cardboard. This is all fucking plywood. And what is plywood outside of, wood chippings that are paper thin and glued together to make kind of a harder substance, I mean, it might be good to do karate chops, but I don't want everything in my house to be, fragile and brittle. I mean, it's a goddamn bookcase, and if my bookshelf is going to sink, if it's going to, bend, then I don't want it. I don't. I'm going to replace everything in this house, and in case Raina is watching this, since everything in the house is currently hers, because I told her, hey, when we broke up, I got all emotional and everything, and I was like, she asked me if I was uploading, which I think she's just prying into my business, but whatever. Don't get pissed off if you happen to find this pissy rant, because it's a reaction of an action. Like I always told you throughout our entire relationship, there is what comes up must come down. There's always a sense of balance in the universe. There's always gravity. There's pull and push. There's always an opposite. And for every action, there's a reaction. Or to those old-fashioned people or people who like to think a certain way. Like my parents, they said for every action, there's a consequence. To me, consequence always seemed like a dark word. It's like, suffer the consequences. Mwah. You're dealing with the consequences. I like the very basic and bland and neutral term of action and reaction. If I go like this, whew, and even with my mouth just go like that, that was an action that caused a reaction in the air and the molecules and everything like that. Everything you do affects everything. There's cause and effect, And so if you want to get pissed off at me because you think that I'm using you and, I don't have a car. You work down the street. They are 2 months old. What? I don't know what that was. It was a text from my ex Monica, and she said they are 2 months old. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. But anyways, so, you can't get pissed off at me and want to assume the worst of me, and think that I'm just using you. And it's like, oh, well, no, I don't have a car. It's kind of difficult when the only road, kind of like down in Pigeon Forge, they only have one road in the entire county, and that's, what is it, Dolly Parton Parkway or highway or whatever. Well, here it is a legitimate highway. It goes from, I think, like being part of the freeway then to just being the main road or something. It's a fucking highway. I mean, I don't need to explain that. Everyone knows what highways are. So there are no sidewalks. There's a distance that you have to walk or ride, and it's just like, it's illegal to do so. People drive crazier on highways and faster. If it rains, I'm screwed. I can't take my bike and ride with crazy people, I'm still healing from a fucking car wreck myself. I don't need to worry about that. Why can't you just be a nice person and give, and whatnot? I'm not saying, oh, be sympathetic or whatever, but I'm just like, if you're already in the area, if you say you want to be there for me still and you still care and you want to be my friend, well, friends do carpool, if your car happens to break down, Raina, and because you